Good afternoon, scaredy cats. Hope you enjoy the video today and please like, comment, and subscribe. The Ghostly Stalker, a tale of fear and survival. As the sun began to set, the small town of Millwood grew quieter, with the exception of the sounds of leaves rustling in the wind. For most residents, it was just another ordinary night. But for Anna, it was the night she would never forget. Anna had always been careful to lock her doors and windows, but lately she had been feeling like she was being watched. It started with small things, like objects being moved or strange noises outside. Then, it escalated to more sinister occurrences. She would find notes and photos left at her doorstep, and sometimes even catch glimpses of someone watching her from the shadows. At first, Anna thought it was just her imagination playing tricks on her, but then she started to recognize the handwriting on the notes. It was the same as a former colleague who had been fired for stalking another coworker. She had thought that the distance between them would keep her safe, but now she wasn't so sure. As the weeks went by, Anna became increasingly paranoid, barely sleeping and always looking over her shoulder. She knew she had to do something, but she didn't know what. Her friends and family tried to help, but they couldn't understand the fear that was constantly gripping her. One night, Anna decided to confront her stalker. She had a plan to catch him in the act and take the evidence to the police. She sat in her living room with the lights off, waiting for him to arrive. As the minutes ticked by, she heard the familiar creaking of her front door opening. Anna took a deep breath and quietly crept towards the door, trying to stay out of sight. The stalker was inside her house, and she needed to act fast before he disappeared again. She could hear his footsteps as he moved through her home, and she knew he was getting closer. Suddenly, a cold hand reached out and grabbed her shoulder. Anna spun around, screaming in terror as she faced her stalker for the first time. The man was tall, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. He was smiling, and Anna could see the twisted pleasure in his face as he watched her tremble with fear. The stalker whispered something in her ear, and then suddenly vanished into thin air. Anna was left alone, shaking and gasping for breath, unsure if what had just happened was real or a figment of her imagination. She checked the doors and windows, but they were all locked tight. There was no way he could have escaped so quickly. Anna realized that the stalker had not just been following her, but had somehow found a way to enter her home undetected. She knew that she needed to take action before it was too late. The next day, Anna went to the police and showed them the evidence she had collected. They were able to track down her stalker and arrest him, and Anna finally felt like she could breathe again. But the memory of that cold hand on her shoulder haunted her for a long time, and she never forgot the feeling of being watched. After the stalker was caught and put behind bars, Anna thought her nightmare was over. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every time she heard a noise or saw a shadow, her heart raced and her mind raced with thoughts of her stalker. Anna tried to move on with her life, but the fear stayed with her. She had trouble sleeping and would often wake up in the middle of the night, convinced that she had heard something. She knew that her stalker was in jail, but she couldn't shake the feeling that he was still out there, watching her every move. One night, as she lay in bed, she heard a noise outside her window. She sat up and listened, but all she could hear was the sound of her own breathing. She tried to convince herself that it was just the wind or a stray animal, but she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was outside. Anna got out of bed and cautiously approached the window. She peered outside, but all she could see was darkness. She was about to turn away when she noticed a pair of eyes staring back at her. They were the same piercing blue eyes of her stalker. Anna screamed and stumbled back, falling to the floor. She could hear the sound of footsteps approaching, and she knew that her worst fears had come true. The stalker had found a way to escape from jail and was back to torment her once again. As the door to her room slowly creaked open, Anna tried to crawl towards the door, desperate to escape. But it was too late. The stalker was standing over her, his eyes filled with hatred and malice. He grabbed her by the hair and dragged her towards the window, his grip tightening with every step. Anna tried to fight back, but the stalker was too strong. He lifted her up and began to lower her out the window. Anna was screaming and crying, but no one could hear her. She knew that this was the end. But just as she was about to be thrown out the window, a group of police officers burst into the room, guns drawn. The stalker was quickly overpowered and taken back to jail. Anna was left shaken and traumatized, but she knew that she had survived. She knew that she had the strength to move on from this experience and to never let herself become a victim again. From that day forward, she made a promise to herself that she would always be vigilant and always be prepared. And she knew that she would never forget the terror of being stalked by a ghostly figure in the dead of night.